Yes, and that's a fact. Welcome back to Wealthy Radio. I'm Deborah Owens, and we're talking about love and money this evening, and we're talking about love and money from a family perspective, if you will. And certainly in today's uncertain economy, planning for your financial future is far more important than ever. And it's also important that in families, we teach our children the value of money and hard work. But not only money and hard work, but how about becoming an entrepreneur? Well, this evening, it's my pleasure to have in studio with me the Williams family, and they've been supporting their child in entrepreneurial ventures and never looking back. And this evening, I have in studio with me Marcella and her mom, and she's here with us tonight, and she is a 13-year-old entrepreneur and author of The Making of a Young Entrepreneur, Gabrielle Williams and Marcella Williams. Welcome to Wealthy Lifestyle Radio this evening.
Hi.
And so, well, I've checked out your website, and you've done interviews on TV, and did you really think that this entrepreneurial venture would take you on this path?
Actually, in the beginning, when I was just getting started, when I just was making jewelry for myself after looking in YouTube videos and looking in magazines, and I just started making some, and my friend would just buy them right off of me when I just go to school, and they'd buy them right off of me. And I started just trying to go to different events. When at 9 years old, I had my first event, but I never thought that it would really reach to this height, to this amount, because I really didn't even plan for a lot of these things to happen.
Ah, well, that's wonderful. So you were doing something that you loved to do. And so tell me about that. So you were researching how to make jewelry on YouTube. What precipitated that? Why did you want to learn how to make jewelry?
Well, I've always loved jewelry. I would just spend hours watching. I'd always loved jewelry. I would pick up things that I found that were shiny, and I'd turn them into things. I'd change them into rings or into earrings or into necklaces. Like one earring, I would just make it into a necklace.
I'm looking. So is that one of the pieces that your pieces that you have on this evening?
Actually, this one was actually made to be this.
Okay.
Sometimes when I find a stranded earring, when I was younger, I would just make them into necklaces, and I kind of just had grown a knack for making jewelry, and I wanted to make it in a higher scale instead of just finding pieces and making it.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, I'm sure you inspire a lot of people, and I want to chat with your mom for just a moment. What did you do to nurture this in her? And what would you say to parents whose children may have some gift or talent that they could develop? What encouragement would you give our parents who are listening to this program this evening?
I would say to start with really allowing your child to explore their options.
Okay.
Because, when they're young, they really may not know what they want to do. But you're noticing a little thing here, a little something there. So within a reasonable budget, give them opportunity to explore, whether it's painting, or just the different things that they may like, music, talent, and put a little money into it.
So
Maybe
make an investment,
work.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, making a small investment until you really see something that sparks. Now with Gabrielle, it started off early where we saw she was focused, an attraction to jewelry. So we gave it a little time. And when we saw that she was serious about it, and that is putting in the time as far as studying that craft, then we realized, okay, we can invest a little more and making that a business.
And so, Gabrielle, your intent was really to make jewelry for yourself, and you were interested in jewelry and had this inclination. Is it just jewelry, or do you find that you're a creative person, it's just something within you that's how you are displaying your creativity?
Yeah, definitely. I am a very creative person. To figure out the designs and how I wanted to be placed. I remember when I was younger as well, I would just paint some things. I got some paint, and I would paint things. And over the summer, we did like a little school, I guess. And I mean, I'd always do different paintings. I have a book still of all my old paintings that I had. And I definitely feel that I'm a really creative person, and I display my creativity through the designs that I make.
Excellent. Well, what advice would you give to maybe a budding entrepreneur out there? If you had it to do over again on this path, would you do anything differently?
Think. I don't think I would do anything differently because I know that what I have done so far is everything that I've done has been a contribution to what's happening now. So the studying I definitely wouldn't have changed because the studying is very important. And I know just starting off, not being afraid to do it, was definitely one of the most important things that I could have ever done, because when you're afraid, it really sets you back from moving forward. And I remember when I was just getting started, I was afraid that no one would want to buy my stuff. So my mom gave me a book called Who Moved My Cheese, and I read it.
I love that.
And I read it, and one thing really stood out to me, and it said, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" So I thought about this, and I wrote it down, and I was able to think about it, what I needed to do to overcome my fears, what I need to do to not be afraid, and I moved forward with that fear of people may not want to buy my jewelry.
The fear of rejection, right? That's excellent. Well, I want to invite some callers in. If you're just joining us, my guest this evening is Gabrielle Williams, and she is an author, but she's also an entrepreneur, and she has her own jewelry business. It's called Jewelz of Jordan, and you can go to her website. Gabrielle, can you tell them how they can get to your website?
My website is jewelsofjordan.com, which is spelled with a Z. Or you could also go to GabrielleJWilliams.com, which is GabrielleJWilliams.com.
Excellent. You want to spell that out because you want them to get to your website. Right. Well, we're taking your calls. Perhaps you're a parent, or perhaps you have your children listening and they want to talk to a 13-year-old entrepreneur, and maybe they have some questions with Gabrielle and want some advice from her on how they can get started. Give us a call at 410-319-8888, or you can send us a tweet to @Deborah Owens. It's @Deborah Owens, or you can go to my Deborah Owens fan page and post a question there as well. You know, the other question I have is the business side of it. And so, you know, you've been doing this for fun. Have you started keeping your books and figuring out what your profit and loss is? I mean, I know that your mom, you are a financial planner by profession. And so how are you teaching her the numbers behind the business as well?
Well, I work with her. You know, she is a numbers person, and I call her Miss Frugal Fanny.
Okay, so that's excellent.
It's about the money.
Okay.
And we work with the program, work with QuickBooks, and everything's inputted. Show her the numbers. She sees, where her profit is. She sees her cost. So we go through everything together so that she can understand how money really works and what her business is really doing financially.
That's excellent. And so what have you learned about the numbers behind the business, and how is that influencing your, maybe what you create for people?
Well, the numbers, it allows me to understand maybe for some pieces I may raise the price or lower the price, maybe where I would sell the area if I'd put a sale on just because of the area that I'm in. And I know that maybe I need to push a little harder if my numbers are low. I need to make sure, use Facebook and Twitter and all those different things a little bit more so people still remember that I'm still here and I'm still able to sell and everything like that. And so just the numbers basically remind me all the things that I need to do or that I'm doing, so to keep my business still on track and still making money.
So Mom, I mean, how do you guys get together? So do you forecast what your sales are? Do you have goals, like monthly goals that you want to reach? Or how do you approach the business and, from what it is to make sure that you're on track to achieving your goals?
Well, every week we don't do the specific goal thing.
Okay.
But we do just try and make sure that we are still making money.
Okay.
Because,
that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
You have your annual goal.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent.
Right.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to take some calls, though. Again, the phone lines are open, 410-319-8888. I'm having such a wonderful conversation with Gabrielle Williams, and she's an entrepreneur, and we're talking about her business, Jewelz of Jordan. You can go to her website. That's Jewelz with a Z on the end, Jewelz, and jewelsofjordan.com, and learn more about her. We're taking your calls right now, 410-319-8888. Perhaps you've got a budding entrepreneur out there, and you want to inspire them and encourage them. And it's always wonderful to have role models, people that are doing something that you want to do. So give us a call at 410-319-8888. Let's go to our first caller. Is it Naja? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, Naja.
Okay, perfect. Well, question or comment for our guest this evening?
Hi, I know Gabrielle and her mother personally. This is Naja from the Land of Kush, and I just want to congratulate her. I'm so proud of her. I already have her book and a piece of jewelry for my 17-month-old daughter. She is such a great role model. So,
how
so
kind.
proud. Keep up the good work, Gabrielle.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for supporting her, and because that's what people really need. And, of course, we know your business, the Land of Kush. Thanks so much for calling in. Okay, perfect. Again, the phone lines are open, 410-319-8888. That's 410-319-8888. So, Mama, I want to come back to you again. I mean, Gabrielle is your daughter, and you also have a son, right?
That is
now,
correct.
is he on the entrepreneur? How has her success influenced him? And, just from the standpoint of maybe him wanting to be in business himself or that sort of thing. Sibling rivalry, if you will.
Really, and that's the good thing. There's no quite rivalry, but it's funny because he started off with, well, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, but the key with us is the way my husband and I raised our children is that we were raising leaders.
Okay.
And which is a very important element to being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Of course. So with Gabrielle, as she developed into an entrepreneur, our goal was really focused on leadership for both of our children. So we were not forcing our son to say, oh, you have to be an entrepreneur because that's the family, but you have to be a leader. And now we're seeing a change in him. He's a blogger, and he has his own site, the D-Dan Reviews, and he does movie, book, and TV reviews.
Ah, excellent.
And now he is working on his book. So he is definitely, I'm noticing a change, and I can see the influence that she is having on him and looking as he moves towards pursuing more towards the entrepreneurship side.
Excellent. And so how does it feel so are you is he an older brother or
Yes, he's
so
older.
how does it feel for the younger, because I have a daughter and she has an older brother, and so I kind of know how that works. So how does it feel for you to be kind of influencing your brother? How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's really cool. As my mom was saying, we were raised to be leaders, but we were also raised not to have rivalry. We were raised to be best friends as brother and sister, because you see a lot of times on TV shows and in real life how brothers and sisters don't even like each other. We were raised to be each other's friends and not to hate each other and scream and shut the door on each other. So, I mean, it's really cool that I'm able to be someone that he kind of got himself molded into because of what I've been doing. But I don't want to brag about it or anything like that, because it could have very well been him, and I could easily I could grow from what he does, and he grows from what I do.
Oh, that's a very humility. That's a very good trait to have, and that's a trait of leadership as well. So, the other question I had for you is, not only are you making jewelry, but you've also become quite the public speaker. You gave a TED Talk. Talk to us a little bit about how it felt to be on that stage and to be conveying, that information to this audience.
Well, my family and I have watched TED Talks before we got the call. So when we got the call, it was very, very exciting for us, because I was actually a dream of mine to be on TEDx and TED Talks. So when I was studying and I was practicing with a coach to do it. And then when the day came, at the beginning I wasn't so nervous because I love to speak, and I feel like I was born to be a speaker. And as it was nearing to my time, I was getting kind of afraid. When I got on the backstage, when I was about to go on, my heart was beating like out of control, and I felt like my face was turning like red, like a sweaty tomato, as my friend once said before. And and when I got on this, I was walking on a little arrow where it shows where you're supposed to go and where you're supposed to walk and where you're supposed to stand. And as I was walking in there, I was getting so afraid, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. But as soon as I hit that place where I had to stand, all of a sudden that fear just flew off of me and I was completely ready. And as I was speaking, I felt so fluent and so ready to speak. And at the end of that talk, this is something that's never made me feel this way before, but I felt like I wanted to speak for the rest of my life just because of that one experience. I felt that this was one of my very important callings and what it could help other people. And just that event was so amazing, and it was so changing, and I just loved it. It was really exciting.
If you could just have seen, I wish people could actually see through radio, because if you could have seen the just look of awe on your face around speaking. And so you've been speaking at so if somebody wanted to hire you to speak at an event, give me a sense of what kind of topics that you might talk about.
We talk about dreaming big and doing big, so how to dream big and how do you go big, or how do you become or push to become what you want to become, how you achieve your dreams. We talk about just how to the making of a young entrepreneur. That's that title of our book is basically the whole surround sound of what I speak about, the making of a young entrepreneur. And then I also talk about the making of, of becoming and growing your dreams. So mostly I talk about usually young entrepreneurship or just entrepreneurship in general, and dreaming big and how to reach that dream.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about the book then. I mean, 13-year-old, you write a book. How did you approach that? I mean, how long did it take you, and how did you decide, how to write that book? Did somebody help you?
Well, I wrote the book myself. I mean, I asked for some help, and then I got stuck, or writer's block. For some things, I just asked people, my mom, my dad, jog my memory for some stories that could really tie into the book. But it was definitely pretty difficult just to write the book, because I wrote the book at 11, and being 11 years old, a lot of kids don't want to sit down and write a book. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. I mean, I remember just watching my family play basketball outside while I was inside, holding back tears just because I wanted to shoot some hoops. But but I definitely think it was all worth it, because when the books actually arrived, it was so amazing. We took pictures of it and everything. My face was so excited, and I would go through the process again. I wrote the book in 2011, and I finished it within the year of 2011.
That was fantastic. Now, Mom, what would you tell parents how to encourage your child to become an author? What kind of assistance or guidance did you provide Gabrielle with as she took on this particular project?
I found myself becoming like a coach, an author's coach, because you're working with your child, and they have their creativity. But I helped her to really pull out what was already in her.
Okay.
So just asking her questions, kind of helping her to dig deeper to really reach the audience. So with that, we had assistants. We had an editor.
Okay.
Worked with a graphic designer to do the formatting and the process. Well, nowadays you can work. I mean, having a book is a lot easier than it was before.
Oh, absolutely.
You can self-publish. If she's self-published, so there are companies out there who can work with someone small. It doesn't have to be a huge cost to create a book for your child, but allow them to go out there, allow them to be creative, put their thoughts on paper. And maybe you're not ready to have it published yet, but you can have something printed. Even you going to a local store that does printing
Okay,
store.
yeah, like an Office Depot or something
There
like
you
that.
go.
Okay.
So you can start small, but have something. It is so exciting when a child can see their dreams, their thoughts in reality, that tangible book. And it's just another step closer to helping them understand that they can really do anything they put their mind to, because now they're seeing their mind on paper. And it makes such a huge difference.
I love that. Now they're seeing their mind on paper. That is so important. And so tell us about how you're marketing the book. So you're making jewelry, and you also have another product, your book. Tell us about how you market the book, and what do you do when you go out and speak?
Well, when I market the book, it's basically when I sell my jewelry, I have my books with me as well, but I sell them online on my website. They're also in Amazon, and when I have my newsletters that I send out, I make sure to talk about just me in general with the jewelry in the book, and then of course everything else that's going on. And also when I'm speaking, I make sure to say the title of my book and especially if I'm vending at an event. And I'm speaking there too, I would probably speak and then say, okay, this is my table, this is what I do, this is my book.
This is very good. So you're learning the craft very well. The back of room sales is what we call that.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And you want to do that subtly because you don't want people to say, oh, she doesn't really want to talk, she just wants to sell my book. So you have to have some finesse in how you approach that. That's great. It's interesting. So tell me about your newsletter. So you have a newsletter that you offer people?
Yes.
How often do they get it, and how do people find out about your newsletter?
It's usually monthly.
Okay.
The newsletters are usually monthly, but also when I'm selling, I have a little clipboard with a sign-up sheet, and basically they put their name and their email address, and when I go home, I add them to my newsletter, and then it's like an instant. I send them out to those people that are added.
Excellent. Well, Gabrielle Williams, you've been a wonderful guest this evening. Thanks so much for joining us and bringing your mom along, Marcella Williams, a super duper teenpreneur and mom dynamic duo. So thanks so much for coming on Wealthy Radio this evening. That's going to do it for us.